You've heard it a million times, right? Your mindset is the key to everything. If you just believe it, you can achieve it. It's everywhere, from self-help books to corporate retreats. But what if I told you that the whole idea got its start with a story that might be a complete and total lie? Today, we're going to tear down and rebuild the whole concept of mindset, from its super shaky beginnings to its surprising, rock-solid validation by modern science. Let's do this.
This one sentence right here from the 1937 classic Think and Grow Rich basically kicked off the entire self-help industry as we know it. I mean, it's an incredible promise, almost sounds like magic, but the story behind the man who wrote it and the scientific journey to actually test this idea, well, that is a wild ride of secrets, scandals, and some pretty mind-blowing discoveries that this quote doesn't even begin to cover.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start with that irresistible promise of mindset, championed by Napoleon Hill and his famous mastermind principle. Then, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at some serious questions about the man himself. After that, we'll jump forward to today and check out the hard science of growth versus fixed mindsets. Look at some data that will honestly blow you away. And finally, we'll try to answer the big one. Is mindset science, or is it just snake oil?
To really get why this book was such a big deal, you have to picture it. It's 1937. America is deep in the Great Depression. Millions of people are out of work, they're feeling hopeless, and then, into this total despair, drops a book with this unbelievably optimistic message. Your circumstances don't matter, only your mind does.
And this idea was an absolute bombshell. At a time when the whole system seemed broken, Hill comes along and says, forget the economy, it's all about you. He claimed that financial success was all about your individual mental power, that your thoughts could literally work like magnets to pull wealth towards you. In a time of extreme scarcity, man, that was a promise people were desperate to hear.
But Hill didn't just tell people to, think positive. He gave them a specific technique, probably his most famous one, that he called the mastermind, and he sold it as a kind of secret weapon for getting ahead. So what does that even mean? Well, Hill's theory was that when a few people get together and focus their brain power on the exact same goal, something amazing happens. It's not just adding their brain power together, it's multiplying it. He believed they literally created a third mind, this invisible shared consciousness that could tap into some higher intelligence to solve pretty much any problem. And you can totally see the appeal, can't you? Accomplish in 1 year what would normally take a lifetime. It's the ultimate shortcut. But here's the catch. The man selling this incredible dream and the very foundation his whole philosophy was supposedly built on were not what they appeared to be. Because while Napoleon Hill's ideas were inspiring millions of people, his own life story, well, it was full of some giant red flags.
Hill's entire credibility, his whole shtick, rested on this one central claim, that all his secrets to success were handed to him personally by the one and only Andrew Carnegie, the legendary industrialist who supposedly hired him to interview the world's most successful people.
And here it is, the bombshell. According to Carnegie's official biographer, who went through all the records, there is zero evidence that Hill and Carnegie ever even met, let alone had some deep, life-changing mentorship. The entire origin story of Think and Grow Rich? Poof! It seems like it was just made up. And unfortunately for Hill, this wasn't just a one-time thing. When you start digging into Hill's past, you find this whole pattern of alleged fraud, from sketchy lumber deals to money laundering schemes, which, raises a pretty huge question. If the guy who wrote the book was a con artist, does that mean his ideas are totally worthless? Okay, so this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because right around the time Hill's version of mindset was getting torn apart by historians, a new, much more rigorous version was popping up in a totally different world, academic psychology, led by a Stanford researcher named Carol Dweck. So forget all of Hill's mystical infinite intelligence stuff. Dweck's idea of a growth mindset is way more down to earth. It's this simple but incredibly powerful belief that your intelligence and your talents, they're not just something you're born with. They can actually be developed through dedication and hard work. And that core belief changes everything. A student with a fixed mindset hits a tough problem and thinks, see, I'm just not smart enough, so they give up. But a student with a growth mindset sees that exact same problem and thinks, okay, this is hard. How do I figure this out? That tiny shift in perspective makes all the difference in the world. But come on, is this just another nice-sounding theory like Hill's? To find out, researchers decided to run a massive, real-world experiment.
They went to the entire nation of Chile to see if a student's mindset could have a real, measurable impact on their life.
And when I say massive, I am not kidding. They didn't just talk to a handful of students. They surveyed over 168,000 high schoolers all across the country. They collected data on their grades, their family's income, and crucially, whether they had a growth or a fixed mindset.
And the results were just, wow, they were staggering. When they crunched all the numbers, they found that a student's mindset was actually a slightly better predictor of their grades than their family's socioeconomic status. Let me say that again. What a student believed about their own intelligence mattered more than how much money their parents made. But that's not even the craziest part. Just let that sink in for a second. The data showed that a student from a low-income family who had a growth mindset did just as well in school as a student from a wealthy family who had a fixed mindset. It's like having the right belief system acted as a shield, completely buffering them from the academic disadvantages that usually come with poverty.
So, where does all this leave us? We've got these two totally different versions of mindset. Napoleon Hill's story-based, almost magical approach, and Carol Dweck's data-driven, scientific one. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Hill's whole thing was built on stories, which we now know were likely fabricated, and promises of some secret mystical force. Modern mindset science? It's built on hard data from massive experiments and a clear, real-world mechanism. You get smarter by taking on challenges and learning from your mistakes.
So here's the bottom line. In a really weird way, the con man was kind of right. Napoleon Hill stumbled onto a deep truth. Your mindset is incredibly powerful. He just got the why completely wrong. The real power of mindset isn't about attracting cash with cosmic vibes. It's about the scientifically proven fact that you can literally grow your own intelligence through effort and not giving up.
And that leaves us with one last, really important question for all of us. In a world just full of gurus and influencers promising you the secret to success, this whole story offers a powerful lesson. Maybe the most effective mindset you can have is just a skeptical one. The one that, when someone makes a grand promise, has the guts to just ask, okay, but show me the data.